Hello and welcome to the Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. I'm Alex.
I'm Julio, and thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, head over to Apple Podcasts to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Help promote the algorithm and spread the word.
You can also find us on SoundCloud to subscribe and review, and don't forget to visit our main website, wearethecontrarians.com.
Follow us on Twitter at Contrarian Prime, and to like us on Facebook, visit facebook.com/Contrarian Prime.
And if you have the willpower to keep up with our pretentious ramblings, you can follow us individually at Contrarian Alex for myself and at Ovnio for Julio. That's OVNIO.
Now, time for the podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Contrarians. Bono episode in the summer of Travolta. Here today to cover Grease. At long last. It seems like it's been way too long. We're almost, 4 years into this venture, and we're just now getting to one of the all-time touted, I would say, musicals.
Some things take time, Alex.
This is true.
We didn't just jump into A Good Day to Die Hard.
No.
It took us a couple of years, I think.
And, I think it's at the right time of the summer of Travolta that we're jumping into Grease, because we got the best, the worst all behind us. But, when you think Travolta, I think most of the consensus is going to be Grease.
Little children think Grease.
Danny Zuko.
Before they think Saturday Night Fever or...
Vincent Vega.
Yeah, no.
Or Turl.
Definitely not Turl.
Being that it's a bonus episode, Grease, we kind of bent our rules here. It's at 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, just enough to be fresh.
Yeah, it's. Usually on a normal episode we wouldn't. It would be too low, even for a fresh movie.
Even by our standards.
Yes, but here it's Travolta. Rules go out the window. Like Mr. Scorpion says at some point in this movie, the only rule is there are no rules in the summer of Travolta.
So if this is your first time tuning into the Contrarians, my name is Alex. I am joined by my counterpart, Julio, on the other side of the kitchen counter here as we record. After watching Grease, Julio, you said it had been several years. How are you feeling today?
Pretty much about the same as I did several years ago when I fully watched it for the first time. But I will tell you more about that.
Shocked and appalled?
Kind of like feeling disconnected. I don't know. I'm the guy that's not in this movie. This movie's about a set of people, and they're like the focus, the center of the universe. But I'm sure there's some students that are not part of that clique, and they're just watching it all happen and going like, "What the fuck is going on?" That's me.
Yeah, you were part of the Freaks and Geeks crew that was made countersuit to this.
I was at the other classroom.
Yes,
and we were just kind of like shocked that these people in their mid-30s were taking over our school. But I'll give you more of that on Real Talk.
I don't know about all that, though. That would mean you were the one non-white person in the school.
That's true.
So, again, Grease, 76% here. If this is your first time tuning in to this current arc we have is the Summer of Travolta, where, you guessed it, we're chronicling the long, tumultuous career of John Travolta, and we settled on this for our bonus episode along the trek. We covered a previous musical in Hairspray. That one was a bit more wildly racist than this.
Also much higher, 94%?
Oh, it was up there. But given the 76%, there's going to be the lovers and the haters. What do you have for us in terms of lovers on this?
Okay, so
the Sandies.
Fresh tomatoes. The Sandies. I have a few beautiful quotes, starting with a short one. Douglas Watt from New York Daily News simply says, "It's a winner." Arthur Knight from The Hollywood Reporter says, "What makes it work is its youthful vitality, the tremendous energy and imagination expended on its virtually wall-to-wall song and dance number." I call bullshit.
Yeah.
Not wall-to-wall.
No.
I'm sorry, but there's
the sports montage that takes up like 15 minutes.
Yeah, and there's long gaps in between musical numbers. Wall-to-wall is like something like Pink Floyd's The Wall or Rent. James
or Les Miserables.
There you go. Les Mis. James Verdinelli from Real Views says Travolta is a riot, alternately swaggering to prove his coolness and reaffirming his ability on the dance floor. The actor gives the kind of performance that's perfect for the role. Drew McWeeny of Hitfix says, I love the film's energy. I love the movie star charisma of John Travolta in the lead. I love the am I doing this right hesitancy of much of Olivia Newton-John's performance. I love the fact that the film is so unapologetically, and then it just trails off, ...
Unapologetically what?
Tell us, McQueenie, tell us. That sounded like a backhanded compliment to Olivia Newton-John's performance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he loves the quality of, like, what the fuck am I doing? Catherine Short from The Guardian says, there's a surprising strain of filth, too. This is much closer to Hairspray than High School Musical. The message is, burn rubber, have sex, strut about like a chicken. It's one that's hard to resist. I mean, I guess you can extrapolate that.
Yeah.
That's spoiler. That's what my Contrarians Corner is going to be like. Scott Weinberg from Apollo Guide says, if ever there were a critic-proof movie, a film effectively ingrained into the pop culture world, it's Grease. We shall prove you wrong. And finally, Ed Gonzalez from Slant Magazine says, as Blu-ray still remains largely the province of gamers and fanboys, I don't really see the point of even releasing Grease on the format at all.
What?
I don't know. I don't know what year this quote is from, but I guess once upon a time, Blu-ray was just exclusively for fanboys and gamers.
That's it must have been around the time of Tropic Thunder, because remember that epic, like, we cut in on that rant that Jay Baruchel's going into about the difference between Blu-ray and HD DVD.
I've forgotten about that already.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So before we launch into this, Julio, why don't you run down the rules of this podcast?
The rules of this podcast. Even though in Greece there may be no rules.
No.
We have a few. So we're doing a fresh movie. That means that in Contrarians Corner, the first half of the podcast, we are going to talk about it as if it was a bad movie. And maybe it is. You'll find out how we really feel during the real talk part
Basically
of the podcast.
just arguing against the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yes. It's fresh, which means that we're going to talk about it like it's rotten. And our personal feelings have no say in this first half of the show.
I don't know, man. They may bleed over. The summer of 1958, we begin the movie on the beach with our two main characters, Sandy, played by Olivia Newton-John, and, of course, Danny Zuko, played by John Travolta.
Two young adults in love.
Young adults is, I think, taxing the definition of the word there. But clearly, two people from two different sides of the world, just based on accents alone. But it's a summer lovin', as it were. And what's the exchange? Are we ever going to see each other again?
And then, well, you're the Grease expert, but to my recollection, Travolta goes like, hey, no.
And then we get a cartoon opening, like a illustration, kind of like the Fat Albert type cartoons of the time period.
They're thinking Mad Magazine.
Yeah, that too.
Even their cartoon depictions look old.
Travolta, especially. Like, I was just waiting for the mirror that he's looking into to, like, crack going up of it. But we get the opening track, the titular track of the soundtrack, Grease, which is the word, have you heard. This takes us to the first day of school at Rydell High. Do we ever get context to where they are? I'm just assuming California. I think Travolta has in his contract that he has to be in California in all his movies. Or post-apocalyptic Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, I don't think it ever says. Yeah, from context cues, I guess you could just the entitlement these young adults have is pretty Californian.
We are shown our two main stables of the school, which are the T-Birds and the Pinks. The T-Birds, that I guess Danny's the leader of, Danny Zuko.
I've always like this is only the second time I've seen this movie in full. I've seen bits and pieces before, but I remember thinking that yes, he was the leader until I watched the movie all the way through, and now I'm not sure. I mean, isn't Kaneki?
Jeff Conaway stakes his claim for being the leader, I think.
I mean, there is a moment in the movie where he dubs Travolta his second in command. Mm-hmm. I mean, that means that he's the leader.
Yeah. And then he squeezes his fingers ever so closely together, and Travolta starts suffocating. And then the Pinks, which are the female cast of the film, which consists of Rizzo, played by Stockard Channing, Frenchie, Marty, and Jan. And then they bring, eventually, the new girl at school, the new kid in town, Sandy, Olivia Newton-John, into the fray. But we see right away this is a school of cliques, and the elite run the school, so to speak.
Also, the old people. rule the school. These
are our 10th year seniors.
Yes, I mean Rizzo. She says something about this being their senior year, and I was like, "Well, you're not kidding, because you all look like senior citizens at this point." The
Rizzo character had to repeat every grade.
All of them. I mean, every single cast member looks like they're in their 30s, and they probably
Potsy or Putsy or whatever his name is. I think he's like
we
all went to school
20s.
with that guy that was balding a little bit.
No. The one that's balding is the other guy, Sonny.
Oh, okay.
Sonny's like overweight, balding, and
like painfully Italian.
Yes, he looks like he goes to school to feed like his 4 kids.
When you make Travolta's Italian look subtle, you know you're doing something proper there. The first day of school, it's announced that National Bandstand will be live, emanating from Rydell High at the end of the school year, hosted by Vince Fontaine, a.k.a. not Rex Manning, and
not Corny Collins.
Corny Collins, yes. So it's a twofer.
It's a disadvantage of going like the pinball way of going through Travolta's career, like we're doing, where we just did. Our last bonus episode was Hairspray, that has high school kids that actually look like high school kids, and a musical host.
Non-white people.
It has non-white people. It has diversity, even if it's for the purpose of a confused racist message. But and then it has James Marsden as Corny Collins, who does everything that I think this dude was supposed to do, but doesn't.
No. We'll get to Vince Fontaine, though, at the end of the school year. But that's kind of the carrot that's dangled in front of them. They got to be good, because that's what's coming. We get the famous Summer Lovin' song. It doesn't take long for us to break into song and dance here. You would think sometime during the Summer of Love that they had, Danny would have told Sandy where he lived.
Except that I totally believe that he didn't, because I don't think he told her a single thing that was true.
This is also a very good point.
He just created this character in order to hook up with her, and that character clearly did not resemble real Travolta at all.
No.
So, yeah, he probably told her that he was from Colorado.
My friends call me Turl. We get through the Summer Lovin' theme, and then it's painfully apparent that the Pinks are going to start fucking with Sandy because they find out that Danny Zuko was her summer love. So Rizzo, the gears start turning in her head. She's going to sabotage this any way she can. We have a pep rally for the Rydell Raiders, the football team. Basic high school pep rally. I believe there's a bonfire going on. But the point of this is the establishing shot of we learn who the bad guys are in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
The Scorpions, which we don't know if they're from a rival school.
They're from Mortal Kombat.
We don't really know where they come from. We do know that they are even older than...
Dude, the leader of the Scorpions.
Leo?
Yeah, he looks like he's done some time.
Yeah, he's had some city miles on him. And then he's got his 3 henchmen, which don't have any lines. They all look like Danzig in the late 70s. But yeah, there's literally no context given if they're from like a rival school or what the hell their problem is. They're just like local terrorists.
They drive on their, this car that shoots fire from the back.
It's got spikes on the hubcaps.
Yeah, and then they just look at Kaneki and go, "Come here!"
And they're always throwing beer cans and beer bottles out the windows at one another. That's like their exchange. But the guy, he doesn't have any good lines here. He has a lot of good one-liners throughout the movie, but here, it's just kind of the establishing opening shot. It's like the teaser trailer for The Dark Knight Rises where Bane comes into focus.
At this rally, because, we just got... This happens right after Summer Lovin', right? So you've seen Olivia Newton-John sing about how amazing Travolta was and how in love with him she is. And of course, they tease her, hey, you might see him again. And she has no idea that they're in the same school, right? Cut to the Scorpions, and then cut to Sandy already flirting with some dude.
Mm-hmm.
Flirting with Lorenzo Lamas. Actually, we found that out looking through ImDb. She already forgot about Travolta. She gave him a whole song 30 seconds ago, and now she's moved on, and she's... I can't connect emotionally with this love story when she isn't even connecting.
No.
And she's supposed to be the pure one.
Yes.
Travolta, I understand. He's a pig, but...
Well, she's in America now, so she, you got to start hoeing it up. That's what she's learning from the Pinks. And
she's trying to fit in,
yeah,
what you're saying.
Exactly. But this is where Stockard Channing Rizzo's evil masterminding comes into play as she stages this reunion between Danny and Sandy. And, of course, they start going nuts, and Danny gets really excited, and then his crew's looking at him. I guess this plays to your point of Kanicki being the ringleader, because he looks at him like, what are you doing? No. And then
Don't embarrass me, John.
it's kind of like a Kylo Ren type of thing. Just the head shake and look down upon. And Danny just completely starts no-selling it and starts making an ass of himself and being really, really mean to Sandy. All the while, Rizzo, fucking Ed Harris in the moon, just watching all this transpire in front of her.
In a good movie, this is where it ends. Because Sandy goes, fuck you, which she does.
Mm-hmm.
And then she would just never come back. She would never talk to Travolta. She would just hook up with Lorenzo Lamas. And then Grease would be about her and Lorenzo Lamas, I guess. Or about Travolta becoming a better person. But they would never hook up again. Because that shit that he pulled is really bad.
It is bad.
Unforgivable.
And, of course, he's mad at Rizzo because of it.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't accept his own guilt and what happened.
Yeah, it's the broad's fault. I gotta have to retire it. I mean, done the Travolta voice too many times.
Please don't. At least once per episode.
Our faithful listeners are tired of it already. They were tired of it at Battlefield Earth. Peer pressure part 1 is what I have in my notes, because the Pinks take Sandy back to their slumber party, and immediately they just start making her smoke cigarettes and drinking alcohol.
And why does she go? I don't understand. They
were all laughing at her.
Right, they were laughing. They
laughed at me, Mama.
They didn't say, at the end of Summer Loving, they didn't go, oh, well, let me tell you, he goes to school here.
Yeah.
You want to meet him? And no, instead they waited.
Rizzo would say, I hit that.
Yeah. He goes, they go to the most public scenario possible, and then they unleash the news on her. So why is she hanging out with them still?
I don't know, man.
Even
high schoolers
Frenchie.
are bitches. That is like a total high school scenario, despite the fact that they're all people clearly in their 30s. That definitely is a high school type scenario to play out. She goes and hangs out with the Pinks, and again, smoke up, life's short, here, have some booze. They're going to pierce her ear, just turn her into something she's not. When she goes to the bathroom to, collect herself, yes. They do this whole musical number, like, mocking her.
Yeah. And, I have to say, even though it looks like they should be having fun, I didn't feel it. This movie kind of ruined the idea of girly sleepovers for me. Because if you're a guy, you grow up thinking, oh, it's going to be like pillow fights and a lot of laughter and talking about boys and just...
No, they paint a picture. The last thing I want to see is girls just infighting and being mean to each other.
Exactly. It's just
body shaming each other.
Hateful, and they're just like boozing it up, but not in a sexy way.
No.
It's almost like seeing guys hang out.
Yeah, Jan's like pounding a Twinkie while she's drinking right from the bottle. It's like, ugh. Yeah, it's just dudes hanging out.
Yeah.
Only with way more wigs.
Yeah, I wonder... They should have cut to the guys' sleepover, the T-Birds.
And just have fucking...
They're all imitating...
Kanicki. He's in the bathroom taking a shit, and Travolta's got a blonde wig on. Oh, maybe Van Doren, stay away from me! This leads to the T-Birds pulling up, basically catcalling at the women to come down. Wherefore art thou, Juliet type shit. Rizzo's the only one to give in, because... I guess she's the promiscuous one of the group. She says she's going to get her kicks or licks, whatever it is, while she can.
Is it implied, or was I reading too much into it, that she's hooked up with Travolta before?
It seemed like there was definitely some history there.
There was some history, right? So now she's going from well, I guess she's climbing the ladder. She went from the second in command to now Kanicki.
Exactly. I mean, that's the natural chain of command. It's how it works.
And then, actually, yeah, because
you keep the bloodline within the family.
Well, and then she goes from Kanicki to Scorpion, who's even like higher up.
Yeah,
she was gonna get to the coach eventually if the movie had kept going.
If I knew more about Game of Thrones, I'd be able to make some sort of allusion to it right now. So she wants to hook up with Kanicki. Travolta just takes off on foot. He's just gonna go off on his own, get some alone time, meditate. Kanicki kicks all of his boys out of the car. It's a hit the pavement. and they deliver the line of when a guy chooses a chick over his friend, something's seriously wrong.
Let's go get a slice of pizza.
And pizza they get. I forgot the segues right into Hopelessly Devoted to You. In the middle of a sleepover, Olivia Newton-John just comes down to Frenchie's front yard to stare into a wishing pond that Travolta surfaces in, wearing a blue cardigan.
She's being bullied. So
she's being pushed out of the room.
She's just escaping. Can you imagine how much they would tease her if she started singing in there? So no, she's like, I need some privacy. Yeah, and she looks into the kiddie pool and sees Travolta
in his blue cardigan, just marvelously smiling up. And as Julio said, a missed market would have been the merchandise for this would have been kiddie pools with Travolta's picture printed on the bottom, just singing to it all night long. We get a graphic sex scene for a PG movie here of Rizzo and Kaneki in the back of his car just kind of going at it. And then, again, talk about burning rubber. This condom falls apart in his hands, and she just says, "Just raw dog it. Let's go for it."
It was probably the most disappointing moment in the movie because, I mean, I don't care about Sandy. She's proven that she's kind of an idiot, and Travolta, whatever, he's a pig. The only person here that seemed to have a lot of common sense was Rizzo. Mm-hmm. She seemed like she wasn't putting up with any shit. She knew what was going on. She was fucking with people.
After 20 years in the school system,
she knows.
She's figured it out.
At least she acts her age. Everybody else, especially Travolta's crew, they act like fucking idiots. Mm-hmm. They're. I was gonna say, I thought I was being pretty clever writing down that they look like the Three Stooges. Yeah. The three guys that are not Kaneki or Travolta. Yeah. But then at the pep rally, they actually they do the Three Stooges routine. Yeah. Oh my god, I hate them so much. But so Rizzo, I'm like, this is my character. I'm following her. I'm behind her at least. But then we're like, what, 20 minutes, 25 minutes into the movie, and she just doesn't care about unprotected sex with this dude that, I mean, who knows what Kaneki's carrying.
And that car was a hunk of shit, too. Who knows what's in that car?
Yeah, I mean, have some self-respect. That was hugely disappointing.
Leo Scorpion's back, though. He backs his car into them, and we get some sick burns exchanged here, metaphorically. Jeff Conaway calls him Crater Face. The whole place is a no parking spot, Crater Face. And then Leo tells him he'll give him 75 cents for the whole car, including the chick. And
then cut to an amazing reaction shot from Sucker Channing.
Yeah, like she does the perk up, like the bird. And then he peels off. But we see the... I'm sorry, there is one non-white person in this movie. It's Cha-Cha Dingagorio.
Well, I guess. She's trying so hard to fit in. She
But it's not explained if she's Italian or if she's Hispanic. So, I mean, we're on the fence here. Token, yeah. But she's there. What's the first shot we get of her? And she's basically just this gorgeous... I don't know. Is she supposed to be like a prostitute? I don't know what her...
Okay, so it's funny because they're all old, right? They're all in their 30s. If she was the only person that's in her 30s, then it would make sense. She's like the older girl, right? But now she looks like a contemporary. So
she looks young compared to Leo.
Yes.
As you said, Leo's kids were at the Rydell Junior High already.
He goes there just to pick them up.
This, of course, leads to what is probably the most famous musical number in the film.
You think so?
I think so. I think it's the most parodied, and the arm motion, the up and down to the side.
I guess I always think Summer Loving is the Grease song because that's the one that every karaoke medley starts with Summer Loving.
Yes,
so
it's the worst.
Usually people lose steam as the medley goes on, but they always start strong with Summer Loving. Yeah. So that's why I'm always thinking Summer Loving is the one.
It's between that and Stan by Eminem and Dido. But in a hollowed out garage with, I guess, the shop teacher from the school.
You don't get to see that until much later, though. Like, the whole Grease Lightning number happens, and I'm thinking, where are they getting the resources, the money? They've established that they're broke.
Yeah.
They're not rich students or anything. So how are they remodeling this car?
Well, this is all kind of a dream sequence, I do believe.
Right, but
the finished Grease Lightning looks different than the car.
But it's still a lot of work.
But the car we see here is the car at the end.
Like, really? I mean, you're talking about not movie magic, but they really did it?
That's the car. You know, they show you how to build a car. You just get a big shiny engine and just drop it in the car, and it works.
And make sure you're dancing all around it. Dude, it's so ridiculous that
it's a flying car, so I'm not going to question their mechanics.
That's why it flies, because he was built with magic.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Travolta. Obviously, we wouldn't be doing the Summer of Travolta if we didn't love him. But the way Grease Lightning starts, his voice.
Dramatic.
Boy, but he actually starts singing, and he goes like really deep. I was like, that's not his voice. Somebody dubbed for him for that first verse or something. It seems super fake, like the car that they're building.
Grease Lightning. It could be the one. It's this plan they have to develop this ultimate car that'll take them to Thunder Road, bring them in all the money and all the women. You know that ain't no shit. We'll be getting lots of tit is a lyric from that song.
The PG movie.
Exactly. But Grease Lightning is a figment of the imagination. It is a dream. And another dream that Danny has is to win back Sandy. And to do that, he figures out he has to become what he hates. He has to become a jock. He has to face the music. Much like Batman, he has to break his one rule to stop the Joker.
This wouldn't be a musical if you didn't have that montage. And in this case, the montage is him going through different sports.
Mm-hmm.
Failing
Set to
miserably.
no music.
Oh, yeah. They forgot that part in the edit.
Mm-hmm.
This wall-to-wall musical instead just drops the music just so we can have Travolta painfully failing at sports.
Yeah,
it made me uncomfortable.
It makes him look like a total fucking geek, man. He doesn't even know how to play basketball or baseball
or anything. He doesn't
I mean,
know how to
they put him on the wrestling team, and they put him against this fucking Russian bear. That part's understandable. And then he cheap shots him, and his coach is like, "Hey, good job." What's the first thing he does?
Basketball.
Okay, basketball.
Yeah, he goes basketball, wrestling,
baseball, and then he tries to do running and hurdles.
Right.
And basically all Sandy needs to see is one hurdle jumped, and that's not even a metaphor. And she's just, blasting out of her pants, ready to take him back.
She drops Lorenzo Lamas like a hot potato, and then she's just back with Danny. She forgets about everything he did to her, how he lied, how he humiliated her in front of the entire school.
Mm-hmm.
Water under the bridge. Because, he now he's
Grease under the lightning.
Grease under the lightning. Travolta under the river. He's. I mean,
going down the river. Oh my god!
That's all it takes. He doesn't even have to be a successful athlete.
No, she actually takes pity on him because he misses one of the hurdles and falls in a really comedic fashion.
Yeah,
that's when they should have had the Three Stooges sound effects. Despite winning Sandy back, Danny is still struggling to maintain his cool persona, so much so that he still is like ashamed to be with her and has to hide going out with her in public.
And she either doesn't notice or she pretends that she doesn't notice because the alternative is too painful.
The vanity and also just the egotism of Danny is, it's clear his friends don't care because they're just like, hey, what's up? When they, like, why are you ignoring us type of thing.
They barely acknowledge that Sandy is there.
And so it's basically him just, trying to not necessarily wallow in, but revel in the drama that's being he's creating his own drama.
Yeah, everybody has their own drama. Nobody cares about Travolta's relationship.
Speaking of everybody, this is the part of the movie where everyone starts pairing off. You have Kaneki and Rizzo, Sonny and Marty, Jan and Putsy.
Dude, like, how does
she's
Sonny,
the hottest one too,
I know.
yeah.
How does Sonny, who's like the ugliest, the oldest, the greasiest of the Grease crew, how did he land Marty, who's the hottest?
Oh, yeah. I think Sonny's closer in age to the principal than Marty.
Although, she does like old guys.
Yes, we find this out here a little bit later on.
Okay, so now it all makes sense.
But still, Sonny's sleazy and greasy and,
has absolutely no redeeming qualities.
No.
He can't dance. He can't sing.
He's Ken Marino in Wet Hot American Summer. He talks about sex so much that he hasn't had sex.
When they're doing the Three Stooges routine, he's curly.
He is, but without any of the charm.
Right. He's curly, but from that Three Stooges movie that the Farrelly brothers did.
Oh.
I don't even know who that was. But
Will Sasso.
Oh, that was... Okay.
I like Will Sasso.
I haven't even seen that movie.
It's the Farrelly brothers also. You said Farrelly's. You're in such an Italian mood after watching this. Hey.
And I guess the last couple is...
Jan and Potsy.
Right. No.
Well, who's
with Frenchie?
The guy.
Oh, the blonde guy. No.
The blonde guy's with Jan, the girl with the big teeth.
Right. So then,
the guy who looks like I don't know. He's real wiry and
right,
skinny.
Right. He's probably the youngest of the crew.
Yeah,
by a couple of years.
Clearly the most, the easiest to forget. Let me see if I can get his name here real quick.
Duty.
Yes.
There you go. So Duty doesn't quite pair off with Frenchie, but he's with her. When everybody pairs up, he's with her. But then at the end of the movie, when they're doing the last song, he's there with the dog. Mm-hmm. Frenchie did her own thing.
Well, because that's the, I guess one of the underwriting stories of the movie, and it really only comes up twice, is that Frenchie is going to beauty school. So she's not really around at the high school. So I think Duty's just trying to get what he can, and then if he can't,
what he can when he can.
Yeah. He's just very resentful of Sonny at this point in the film. But everyone takes off from the burger shop, the Shake Shack, the In-N-Out, wherever the fuck they're eating.
The Whataburger.
The vastly superior version of In-N-Out. And my personal favorite musical number of the film, despite what it could have been way more of if it had gone correctly, Beauty School Dropout, where Frankie Avalon just kind of comes in and just shits on Frenchie for 3 minutes.
Okay, so I know this is sort of a like a fan favorite. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know. Like, I've heard of the people talk about Beauty School Dropout, and I was like, I've never heard that at karaoke, so I don't know, and then I finally watched the movie.
Is that just what you base the opinions of this movie on?
Well, yeah, Grease is like, how many times have you heard that song at karaoke?
Okay.
Never heard the Frenchie song, but I also know why, because it has no relevance in the movie. I mean,
it's also very mean.
Yeah, but I mean, so is Travolta to Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, but not ever in song. When it's in song, it's way worse.
I don't know. When he's talking about her in Summer Loving, he's being pretty demeaning.
But not to her face.
Oh, okay.
Frankie Avalon's just like nose to nose.
Right, but I guess my point is, who cares? Like, Frenchie is this, not even, she's no Rizzo, right? So you have Sandy is the protagonist, or one of the protagonists, and then Rizzo and Kaneki are the secondaries, right? And then there's everybody else. Mm-hmm. It would be like Sonny having a musical number, mm-hmm. or Marty, or it's like, who cares? You're the background people, and then she is given, some really very important real estate in the movie. Yeah. She gets like her own musical number that most of the other characters don't. Like, Kaneki doesn't get a musical number.
Yeah, no, I understand.
He should have. I mean, he was a broken condom.
It would make a lot of sense. The original idea had come to fruition of Elvis doing Beauty School Dropout. I think then it would have made sense why this musical number happened. But not to discredit Frankie Avalon, but yeah, just Elvis showing up and
that would have been. But then,
bloated Coke Elvis.
Everybody would be singing that song at karaoke.
True, and everyone would be doing terrible Elvis impressions. If it was Elvis, that scene would be regarded like fucking Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction. People would just always talk, oh, yeah, the wolf in Grease. Rizzo, I guess, out of an act of malice and retribution on her mind, shacks up with Leo Scorpion. You were talking about the first act of the movie. Rizzo was your character. Now she's just not using her head at all.
Oh, yeah, no. She's just off the rails, but that fits in with everything else in the movie. I mean, it's not like anybody's making any smart decisions. Mm-mm. Even so we just had that Frenchie musical number, which is just basically her dropping out of beauty school, right, to go back to high school. Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay, why? You already got into beauty school. You're already a step ahead from all your loser peers.
Yeah.
And now she's just gonna go back to hanging out with them because what? Because school's too hard.
Frankie Avalon told her to.
Well, there you go.
So, he said, you're shit at doing hair. You might as well get a high school diploma and flip burgers for a living.
Did he also tell Rizzo to hook up with the Scorpion
That
guy?
was a deleted scene.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was the rest of the song. Dude, that should have been, like, midpoint of the movie. It's just Frankie Avalon telling every single member of the cast what they're supposed to do. So he tells Kaneki, you need to fix your car. He tells Travolta, you need to get on track.
It's just, like, basically 6 different versions of It's a Wonderful Life.
Well, thanks, Frankie. Ding.
We go, like, seriously, like, a seamless transition of Rizzo taking off in Leo's car with him. She brings Marty along to them coming into the dance. So we're already at the end of the school year. It's the National Bandstand with Vince Fontaine. And this literally takes up, I think, like 20 minutes of the movie.
It's like the end of Hairspray.
Yes.
Only nowhere near as good. It's 99% extras dancing. So why would I care? I was looking for Kaneki. I was looking for Travolta, for Sandy, for Rizzo. You see them like every now and then, but mostly it's just a bunch of nobodies dancing, taking up screen space.
Vince Fontaine, nobody he is not. He does cut that epic promo to get the whole crowd all riled up before they go on TV. But it's a dance competition. If you get tapped on the shoulder, you're out. So, I mean, it's understandable. It takes a while to weed out the impurities of the school. It comes down to somehow they manipulate it to where Sonny...
Okay, explain this to me. It looked to me like Travolta and Sandy were winning.
Yes.
And then one of Travolta's friends, Sonny, just grabs Sandy by the arm and pulls her out so that, what's her name?
Cha-Cha Di Gregorio.
So the Token can come in and finish the dance with Travolta. Why?
Because you can't stop the beat.
Okay. How did they not know? He should have gotten disqualified just on the basis of that. I mean, they have some rules. Unlike the race later down the bridge, there are some very serious rules in this dance.
There are. Boy, girl only.
Boy, girl only. White people only. And I would imagine...
Keep it classy.
Keep it classy.
And above all else, MAGA.
And no swapsies. You start with your partner, you end with your partner.
Well, that's the one rule he didn't say. So, you know, as far as the school's concerned and national band camp is concerned... Getting that fucking Aussie out of there and an American in. I think it works out best for everybody. But then, like I told you, the fucking spot of the whole movie is at the end, the climax of the dance number, or the conclusion, rather, when Vince Fontaine does that fucking front cartwheel into frame. Did you see that?
I saw it.
That dude was, like, easily in his 40s. That was impressive as shit. I mean, he
was just a little older than the main cast.
Yes. He was supposed to be Danny Zuko, but they're like, we need someone just about 3 years younger in appearance.
We're going to give you that one stunt. You get that moment.
No, after they told him he didn't get Danny Zuko, he was like, all right, well, I'm going to steal this fucking movie. But again, after all this, Sandy's just, they're back together. Next scene. Everything's fine.
Yeah, so he went from humiliating her at the bonfire in front of the school. Now he's humiliated her in public television. Like, everybody was watching that show. Mm-hmm. I mean, you keep cutting to the cafeteria where all the waitresses are like, oh, there's Danny, there's Sandy. Yeah. So you know that the moment that Sandy was swapped by...
Cha-Cha Di Gregorio.
For Cha-Cha, you know, they went, where's Sandy? Oh, look, there's Cha-Cha.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's embarrassing. And yet, next time we see them, she went to the movies with him.
They're at the drive-in.
They're at the drive-in.
Watching Steve McQueen's seminal classic, The Blob. And it's just this elongated scene of Danny... I don't want to use the term date rape, because that's not what he's doing, but he's being very forceful with his intentions.
He's trying to cop a feel.
He is. And then when she catches him, he just kind of tackles her and starts making out. And to her credit, she gets out and slams the door on his hand.
Okay, if she hadn't already forgiven him twice, I probably would have taken this more seriously. But I just knew she was coming back. Especially because, so at first they're watching the movie, and she's a little mad at him. She's not really, she seems like she's in a bad mood. Mm-hmm. So then Travolta gives her a ring. Mm-hmm. And that melts her, and she's like, oh, you're great, you're the best. Now this means that you respect me and all the stuff. And then Travolta makes a face. Oh, I don't want to respect you.
And then he just goes in for it and is rejected.
He goes for the kill. Gets the door slammed on his boner.
Yes. I never knew if it was his hand or his wang that got the door slammed.
It's pretty clear it's his boner.
The way he sells it, too.
Oh, yeah. Just,
This leads to a dejected Travolta just kind of trailing off throughout the field at the drive-in and leads to... Is it Oh Sandy? I can never remember the name of the song.
It's called Oh Bathroom Break, because it's just completely forgettable.
Hey, it has the Let's All Go to the Lobby cartoon playing in the background, which you got to give some props to that. More interestingly is the demise of the Rizzo character. While all this is happening, we learn that she believes she's pregnant.
And it spreads. The rumor spreads.
It's a pretty good shot. It's a continuous shot of her walking along a series of cars as the game of telephone is continuing. And when she gets to her destination, the word's already made it back to her.
Right. Kaneki confronts her. And probably the one moment in the movie that I felt was, I'm not going to say realistic, but that it hit me with true emotion is when Kaneki is basically offering to help her with the baby, and Rizzo just goes, "Well, it's not yours."
Yeah,
basically, just
like, I want to own up to my mistakes. Hey, it's someone else's mistake.
His name's Scorpion.
And yeah, Kaneki, he hits her with a Humphrey Bogart-esque. Thanks a lot, kid.
The one, like the only 5 seconds of acting that I bought from Jeff Conaway in this movie.
But this leads to Worst Things I Could Do, the musical number that Rizzo gets. So do you view this as pointless as Beauty School Dropout?
No. Rizzo has an arc that Frenchie doesn't have. Frenchie has like a digression, and then you could remove the Frenchie stuff and the movie still plays. Rizzo is in the movie enough that
because Frenchie just ends up back at high school,
right?
So she just goes in a big circle.
Yeah, and it's not even explained how it seems like it was too easy for her to just get back and graduate with everybody else.
Yes, again, we follow these children through their entire school year, and at no point do we see any sort of academia or any academic rules enforced.
Like we mentioned, and while we're watching the movie, we're like, they're learning life lessons, but not actual like school subjects.
They're going to the school of hard knocks.
Yes.
It's time for the ultimate showdown at Thunder Road. Grease Lightning is ready to roll. They're going to race Leo Scorpion in his Scorpion mobile, all pimped out with its flames. We go down to that's obviously that set has been used multiple times in different movies. It's in California somewhere. It's in GTA, for Christ's sakes. Why am I blanking on
with the race? Where the race happens? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's probably in Phenomenon too.
I mean, easily. Yeah, it's where he gets hit in the head with the bolt of lightning. Kaneki's supposed to race. He gets hit in the head himself with a car door. One of the T-Birds opens it, not paying attention, knocks him out. So Danny has to race for him.
Because he's his second.
Yes.
Which they make a big deal out of it.
Put me in, coach.
Right, but I thought, one, that he was already second, and two, well, it's not like Kaneki has much of a choice. It's either Travolta, his lieutenant, or one of the Three Stooges. So why are you making such a big deal?
Would have been a good twist at the ending there for Sonny to be the driver. You want me to drive? Danny wins. The crew celebrates. Sandy watches from afar on the side. With the cold pavement pressing against her skirt, she realizes it's time for a change.
Yeah, she sees him celebrating, sees him happy, victorious, and she decides it's time to shed her personality.
She said goodbye to Sandra D.
Oh yeah, no, abandon old Sandy and become, I guess, a true hot-blooded American.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happens?
Oh yes, because it's the last day of school and the post-school carnival. Danny shows up in his Rydell High Letterman jacket. I feel like this was kind of like that scene in 500 Days of Summer where it shows the reality versus expectation scene. And he shows up and he has one idea of what's going to happen. But then Sandy just shows up hot.
Yeah, so
dressed to the nines in skin-tight leather.
Right, so
pants that she literally had to be sewn into.
So the idea, we were watching this movie with my fiance, and she was trying to tell us that they both sacrifice about the same. They both change in order to arrive to this happy ending. And I just don't buy it. I mean, Travolta puts a jacket on.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy completely changes. Like, it's like she went into a cocoon and came out as a new woman.
Yeah.
Her hair is different. Her makeup is different. Her clothing is different. And, of course, her attitude, her personality is different. Travolta acts the same. He just put a jacket on.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very much not balanced.
Yeah.
It's unfair. Sandy...
It's the ricin cigarette. He's tricked her into this. He knew this all along.
Yes. He knows that he's not going to be wearing that jacket anymore.
No.
She's back.
Yes.
And she's back
she's
the
never
way he
going
wanted
anywhere.
Yes.
And you will do what I say from this point forward. I've won. This leads to the conclusion. This is our final, it's a kind of a medley of You're the One That I Want and We'll Always Be Together.
You're the One That I Want. The original title for it was originally Tight Pants Are the Answer.
Yes, in this case they are. And Travolta, we even get like an all-time Travolta sound drop here because we get a yow in the song. It's absolutely wonderful. But what the message of all this is saying is completely abandon your morals and your internal compass and become what you think everyone else wants you to be, and then people will accept you.
Yeah, I mean, she seems happy at the end.
Yes.
I don't know how... This is the problem, because we never see her parents, so we don't know what the situation was. How did she end up here from Australia? She clearly has no friends. Because I was going to say, I wonder how her parents and friends feel about this.
Her fiance, Billy Zane, is very angry about the turn of events.
But it just seems so surface level, which wouldn't be a problem if these were real high school kids. But because they're adults doing it, it just seems so wrong. Mm-hmm. When you're in your 30s, you shouldn't be going through this kind of stuff. You should have already figured it out.
The fortunate ones of us have figured out most of these things by the time we reach that point.
I mean, I don't see you wearing tight pants for any girl.
Yeah. And she picked up smoking, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll always be together. The whole Rydell High takes us out here. It's quite the to-do.
It makes no sense. I don't understand that song.
And then they have the car from the Grease Lightning video, and it fucking flies. It takes off into the sky. And Sandy turns back and waves goodbye.
So, I guess that's the filmmaker telling you, don't worry about it.
They're literally breaking the song they're singing. They won't always be together. They're in a flying car. They're leaving your asses behind.
They're going to heaven.
Yes. Well,
they were too good for Rydell.
Or somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll give him props for acknowledging that this sort of story couldn't have happened in the real world. It would happen in the world of a flying car. Mm-hmm.
And the world where Sonny gets to shack up with Marty.
With Marty. Even at the end, dude, I thought that maybe it was like a mistake that they just happened to be like standing next to each other in several shots. But at the very end, in the last song, they're together when they're doing the cardboard things.
Like Ghost Town with Ricky Gervais and Tia Leone. It's like, go fuck yourself.
What's your secret? What do you have on her? Classic.
Do you have anything else to add?
There's a lot of real talk that's already bled through. I don't want to let any more bleed through.
Okay.
Before we actually go to real talk, so for this break, we have a promo from the IMDb Journey podcast, who's actually one of my plugs. But yeah, we'll hear this, then we'll put in some sort of Grease sound clip.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll get back with real talk.
If I have a suggestion, it would probably be we'd just play Beauty School Dropout.
The entire thing?
Yes.
The Elvis version.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's
we'll
like...
we'll just go in the dark web and find it.
Fucking Sharon Tate movie we did. Valley of the Dolls. How Judy Garland had already recorded her songs for that. God, if Elvis had already... Chef's kiss.
The ultimate Rydell High Elvis edition.
Yes.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. What are you doing after you finish this great podcast you're listening to?
Well, whatever it is, you're going to blow that off and listen to the IMDb Journey podcast instead, hosted by Daniel, that's me.
And Dean, that's me. Join us on our journey as we tackle the IMDb Top 250 list, breaking down one movie a week, giving our own rankings as we go, as well as our incredibly intelligent and insightful thoughts too.
We also throw in a random quiz or movie battle every once in a while and have a punt on it, because us Aussies, we love a good punt.
Daniel, this is a G-rated promo. You can't say that.
I said punt, Dean. Punt. You dickhead. So come join us on the journey by subscribing to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or any other podcast apps, and follow us on Twitter at IMDb Journey.
And now back to your regular scheduled programming.
Oh, I hope you're not getting a cold.
Oh, no. It's just probably a little driving dust, that's all.
What's it true? Could space monsters mate with Earth women? See the startling answer in The Shocker of them All.
Danny!
Sandy! Oh, Sandy.
What's he doing?
Oh, Sandy. Don't worry about it. Nobody's watching.
Danny, get off me!
Sandy, what's the matter with you? I thought I meant something to you.
To you? You think I'm gonna stay here with you in this sin wagon? You can take this piece of tin?
Sandy, you just can't walk out of a drive-in.
All right, now we're recording for real talk.
Sorry.
Real talk. the second half of the show where we tell you how we really feel about the movie.
And we start recording with me just chomping on gummies. Yes, real talk. It is in the title. And real talk here about Grease. Released June 16th, 1978. Budget of a modest $6 million for a box office return of just around $400 million. So did its due diligence in the theater, I tell you what. Directed by Randall Kleiser, and screenplay. It was based on Grease, the musical Broadway show, which was far more racier than the actual movie, if you can believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it. I've seen it. Well, I haven't seen the play itself, but last year I think I want to say it was NBC, ABC. I don't know, whoever's doing these live Broadway productions.
That's right, yeah.
They did Grease, and I watched it. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I can tell you I thought it was much better than the movie.
Mm-hmm. Richard Kleiser, the director. The other two things that I were fans of that he did: Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
All right. Fond memories.
No, that movie's really bad. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is great. But what he did, apparently, and I'm reading here, that it was uncredited, was Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, which was, are you familiar with that?
Oh, yeah, I've been, that's one of the few Disney rides I've actually been in.
Yeah.
You call it a ride, what do you call it, an experience?
It's like a live action attraction.
Right.
Live action, yeah.
Yeah.
No longer there. But I remember doing that as a little kid. Like, there's a mouse, and then they like have the things on the back of your legs, and then water comes down and everything. So, 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. Easily one of the most beloved movies, and something that Travolta will always, even if Pulp Fiction had never come out, he still would be writing goodwill off of Grease.
I mean, he'd still be getting employed.
Because of Grease.
Right. Maybe not the critical acclaim, but he would be Danny Zuko.
He would be.
But you know what? There are people who don't like it. I'm not alone.
I know. I was going to say, I'm looking at one right now.
I'm going to do a few quotes from the rotten side of the tomato meter, starting with Brian McKay from eFilmCritic.com, who says, I didn't know that in the 1950s, high schools were populated by 30-year-olds constantly broke into nails on a blackboard musical numbers. Man after my own heart. Dave Kerr from the Chicago Reader says, limp, cheaply made. And apparently that's what his wife says about his dick.
Well done.
Ben Reynolds from Film 4 says Travolta and Newton-John burn up the screen with all the passion of a potato salad while occasionally singing a song you know all the words to because they play it every week in small-town nightclubs. Brutal.
The passion of a potato salad. Excellent.
Derek Malcolm from The Guardian says, a grave disappointment to anyone in search of style or substance. Judith Martin from the Washington Post says, couldn't the makers of Grease have unearthed one person who was alive in that time, perhaps even one who attended an American high school then, and checked their information? She's afraid this wasn't a documentary.
No.
And Stanley Kaufman from the New Republic, he says, it has no kind of focus in atmosphere or tone. It doesn't even have a look. It's just sort of a floating insult, shopping for a subject to light on.
Well, that's just wrong, but...
I have one more. John L. Wasserman from the San Francisco Chronicle says, the screenplay is a prepubescent shambles. The direction is by acne out of disposable douches. The dubbing and looping of the songs is painfully obvious. The characterizations are generally repulsive. And the whole thing... ...
Another one?
Another
Another trail off?
I just figure it had to be fair to McWeeny and include a quote that was just as long-winded as his.
So to address the ages, Stockard Channing was the oldest in the film at 33.
She's also, in my humble opinion, the highlight, the MVP of the movie. You don't think so? Why are you shaking your head?
Everyone is the MVP of Grease.
Come on.
The youngest was Lorenzo Lamas at 19. Travolta was 23 and Olivia Newton-John was 28. Travolta looked a bit older than 23.
Yes, and Olivia Newton-John looked like she was in her 30s. I think part of it is just that because they're trying to dress her as a younger person, it makes it even more noticeable that she's older. And the makeup is also, I don't know.
This was the third highest grossing movie of all time behind Jaws and Star Wars when it came out. Henry Winkler turned down the role of Danny Zuko because he didn't want to be typecasted.
So instead, he just took a hiatus from acting.
He did, but he came back with a serious vengeance and a little ditty called "Here Comes the Boom." He won several Contrarian awards. For that.
He was in the conversation.
Yeah, it was almost named the Winkler instead of the Embry, but
It was. It's on his Wikipedia page now.
we should go on there and put that. People, what? Oh, yeah, and the other trivia bit from the IMDb page that I thought was hilarious was the official premiere after party was at Studio 54. No cocaine, no booze,
Sure.
no unprotected sex.
Of
nothing like
course.
that. And yeah, the film was originally rated PG. The fuck?
PG for implication of raw dogging.
That'd be wonderful. Violence, language, implication of raw dogging. Grease, man. It's fucking great.
How many times have you seen this movie, Alex?
Dude, like I told you, my notes were minimal because I watched this so much when I was a kid. Again, one of those movies I think when my parents showed it to me had it like Saturday Night Fever we've talked about before. Saturday Night Fever is different though because there's two versions of the film that were released. I think it's one of those things that's lighthearted and jovial, but like a lot of the lyrics to the songs and some of the content's a bit like probably not good for anyone. This is like this would define the rating PG-13. I would say about 13 and up is when you're okay for this. I've seen it a lot. It is flawed heavily.
Yes.
But so much fucking fun. They fly away in a car in the end.
That's the least of its problems. Although I mean,
there's the extra in there, the green shirt extra that we.
That guy's great.
Julio and he was our boy towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, and
I should say by the end he was our boy.
Yeah, the last number, what do you call it? What's the name of the last
medley?
Song?
Well, there's the medley of "You're the One That I Want" and "We'll Always Be Together."
We'll always be together because I don't think you really see him and "You're the One That I Want." But
I don't know, but yeah.
As they're exiting the.
He's front and center.
Yeah, he's right there, and then you just can't miss him. But that guy's
so
great.
Before we get into your critiques, let's just that closing scene. We'll always be together. Having shot that one afternoon is pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, if I want to be an asshole, I could tell you like they probably rehearsed it for like a week, and then they just had to shoot it real fast. But
it's like the opening of The Player.
17 takes. Just keep going. Green shirt, you're fucking up. No, green shirt, I love you. Come to the front.
You're in the front now.
I don't. Okay, so here's the thing. Just because I don't love it the way that people love it doesn't mean that I hate it. I'm just thoroughly underwhelmed, and there are things that bother me far more than it seems to bother other people. Like the fact that these people, these characters, they just look so old. I just can't. I have a lot of trouble getting past how old they look.
You saw this like you were already like semi-grown. You were like in your 20s, right, when you saw this?
But let me tell you, Alex. Here's my Grease story. Here's where we flash back to the origin of my hatred.
She wasn't worth it.
When I graduated high school, like one of the big like activities, I don't know, we're putting like a show with like a lot of dance numbers and stuff, and so there was a Grease-inspired dance number that was set to the medley. So it was "You're the One That I Want" / "We'll Always Be Together." And I'd never seen Grease. I kind of knew the songs, I guess, but we were in a classroom watching that last part of the movie over and over, and then we went and we did the number. I bought a black leather jacket.
Amazing.
For it. I still have it. Doesn't fit me anymore.
Does it say the Jaybirds on the back?
No, it was just black.
Okay.
But it was like a choreography and it was just all done by students. So it's not like it was something super professional or slick looking or anything. And we danced, and then the drama teacher at the end, he was like, "You guys could have smiled more." But the point is that watching that, even back then, so I was 15, even back then, watching the video, just like the last part of the movie, they look like adults to me. And I'm watching this as a high schooler, and I'm not feeling represented. I didn't even realize, I think, that they were supposed to be high schoolers, which makes the betrayal sting even more when I found out they were supposed to be high schoolers.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they behave like high schoolers, like really dumb high schoolers, but they look like adults. And I just have such a hard time getting past that. Now, even if I were to get past that, I think it's kind of clunky. I don't think it flows in the way that a musical like Hairspray, which we just did, flows. Right here, most of the songs are pretty good, and really good. But I don't think they're staged.
The writing in between them is just like...
Yes,
it's
drags.
like we have so many of these songs, let's just figure out how to get to the next one quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I think that one of the reasons it feels clunky, though, is having seen the full version of the musical when they did it on TV, it still has some problems, but there's more meat. There's more, tying everything together. There's more songs, obviously, too. And Frenchie's song doesn't feel like an outlier because I want to say that there's more songs for like the other characters that involve the other characters. So it flows even better. But see, it's not that, I watched the original version of the musical first, then I watched the movie, so the movie didn't live up to my expectations. It's like I watched the movie, I didn't care for the movie, then I watched the original, and I was like, this makes more sense.
A bit more fleshed out.
They had Julianne Hough playing Sandy.
That's right.
Much, in my humble opinion, much better Sandy than Olivia Newton-John. We just lost half our listeners. And they had Vanessa Hudgens playing Rizzo. I thought she was great.
God bless.
But even just from the mere fact that they look much younger, they look, not quite high school kids, but I can work with this.
Well, that Vanessa Hugh, or what's her name?
Hudgens?
Julianne Hough.
Oh, Julianne Hough.
She was supposed to be the next big musical girl with that Rock of Ages movie, but that thing tanked.
Oh, dude, yeah, that movie sucks.
That's what I heard.
But she's great. So I don't know. I wish that there was more. I wish it was a wall-to-wall musical because the songs are the best part of it.
Yeah. It's I mean, all its flaws. But when that movie's on, dude, like the fucking Born to Hand Jive musical sequence, despite the fact that what's happening doesn't make sense, of like one woman getting ushered out and another one brought in. Oh, God, it's so fucking good. All like the dancing. You don't see dance numbers like that anymore, man.
Yeah, you do.
When?
Corny Collins and his people. You can't stop the beat.
That's just like fucking 10 people. This was like a fucking auditorium full of like fucking 30 and 40 people. And then, yeah, like Travolta, when they're doing the lasso bit towards the end, when it's like breaking down. Oh, man. So good. And then, yeah, the We'll Always Be Together choreography is just fucking fantastic.
Which one? So you said Grease Lightning is your favorite, or did you just say that was the most iconic?
That, to me, that's the most well-known song from the movie.
But your favorite is?
We'll Always Be Together. Just like, because I don't know. Born to Hand Jive's pretty good, too. I have the soundtrack on vinyl, and I always listen to the one side that has Sha Na Na, the band that plays at the National Bandstand, because they're good. Like, and the songs they do I really enjoy, too. One thing I do want to touch on, we're kind of jumping around here. Yeah, the things you're pointing out are true. It's a movie that's been parodied for 40 years now, of the whole trope of having people in their 30s play high schoolers and things like that. That was a big problem with 90210, too. I mean, Luke Perry's a good-looking dude, but, like, I think the musical number is really good. They picked a good cast for it. It is peak Travolta.
Yes, so the Travolta factor in this movie, off the charts.
Yes.
Right? I think I mean...
Your fiancé said he looked like a Muppet, and I could not see that for the...
Yeah, I mean, but that's... He still fares better than most... I mean, dude, like, the performances... It sounds mean, but I mean, I don't think that the acting is very good in this movie, except for Stoker Channing, who I think is fantastic, and Travolta does well, right? The thing that Travolta has that nobody else has is that he's a good dancer, like a really good dancer, and he can sing, and he can act.
Yeah.
Like, most of the people in this movie can only do one of those things. Like, Stoker Channing is great, but I don't think that she's a standout when it comes to either singing or dancing.
No.
Olivia Newton-John can sing, but, I mean, the dancing is just okay, and, dude, the acting when she's not singing, can't. But, again, we're going back to, you have a 30-year-old trying to play, like, a really young high school girl, so that it's just hard to watch to begin with. Kaneki, like Jeff Conaway, Dude, I had a note here. I didn't get to squeeze it in on Contrarians Corner, but his famous line, the whole like the hickey from Kaniki,
Yeah.
it looks like he's having trouble remembering the line as he's delivering it, which I don't think that's a choice that he made. I think that he was just, fuck it.
Yeah. Travolta, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. This more than probably any other movie he ever did, and we got plenty more left. And we've, it's hard, it's getting repetitive talking about how it's clearly Travolta's talented. He was the last of a dying breed, if not the last of its kind, of that actor or actress that can do it all. Sing, dance, the Bing Crosby, or, they name drop Rosemary Clooney in there. Like, that's an example of that. Like, I don't know. How's James Marsden's dancing? He didn't do too much dancing.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah, okay.
For some reason, they haven't capitalized on that aspect of his talent.
But you know what I mean? We don't
the
see
Cyclops musical.
We don't see too many actors like that anymore.
JGL. I think that
JGL's a throwback. He certainly is. Yeah, he's really good at all that. And but that being said, it makes Travolta stand out over everyone else in this movie. Despite that, I agree with you, Stockard Channing's got some good moments of acting. It's just, to me, well, not to me, it's universal. This is the definitive Travolta vehicle.
Like, here's my hot take.
Travolta's pretty good in Grease.
Just as a Travolta vehicle, fantastic. It's completely earned the praise that he gets for Grease. Now everything else is just a little shakier.
He siphoned about 10 seconds worth of Grease into Look Who's Talking To. And when the movie was over, we were like, well, at least it had that 10 seconds.
Yes. To be fair, he gets more to do than Olivia Newton-John.
Well, I don't think we're above reproach by saying this movie's very male-dominated and oriented.
Well, even Rizzo, who's supposed to be the strong female character, I guess, she's kind of, she's just jumping from guy to guy.
She allows herself to be used by men.
Right. She's not... that's always bothered me, too.
Which is, again, that's a woman's choice, but the movie demonizes her for it.
Well, yeah, no, but I was going to say what bothered me is that her arc at the very end is just like, oh, just kidding, I wasn't pregnant. It was like, I know it's too much to ask for her to have an abortion.
You are underselling that sequence because Jeff Conaway yells up, "Hey, Rizzo, get off that thing, you got a condition."
Right, but we don't even see her realize that she's not pregnant. We find out when she's telling Kaneki.
Yeah,
that is underselling it.
Yeah,
I feel that her character was strong enough throughout the movie that at least they owed us a bigger ending to that whole story.
The smart people. Have you ever seen
I
that
still
movie?
haven't seen it.
Yeah, there's the part of Sarah Jessica Parker sitting on the toilet looking at the pregnancy test and going, shit. And that's how the audience finds out. So, did you have something to throw in there on the Stockard Channing front? Anything to put a pin on it?
Oh, how did that come about?
What?
Oh, no, because I was saying that Sandy, she doesn't really get much to do. She doesn't get as much development as Travolta does, right? So all you see her in the movie is basically her being slighted by Travolta and then forgiving him. Rinse, repeat. So I remember when I was watching the full musical, she goes on the cheerleader tryouts. So she has more to do other than being upset with Travolta, pining after Travolta.
Yeah.
So she actually has a whole musical number that's her proving that she's a really good cheerleader. That I'd forgotten that it wasn't in the movie. So when we're watching it here and it's just...
she's just a cheerleader.
She's just a cheerleader. Like, that girl tells her, you should go to the tryouts. And then next thing you see her, she's just a cheerleader. And everybody's like, hey, you were awesome.
Yeah.
And you really, especially after having seen it, you really miss that moment of just showcasing her for being good. Travolta gets to be awesome driving the car and telling everybody how Grease Lightning is going to be in his mind. He gets to shine a lot more.
Yeah.
So maybe, it was an uphill battle because of the character she's asked to play, but I think maybe Olivia Newton-John, I would have liked her more if she had more to do.
Yeah. And I could make the argument, like I was kind of jesting in Contrarians Corner, but the whole her selling out in the end. One, if you're following her character arc, you know that's her destiny because she's just going to let anything go. And then two, yeah, they at least try to make up with it where like Travolta shows up with the, he has the cure, but then it's not needed anyway.
Yeah.
It's the end of T3.
Yeah. The nuclear war has already been launched.
Yeah, you can't stop what's coming.
Operation Tight Pants has been engaged, and there's no going back. I mean, it doesn't bother me. Maybe it would bother me more if I was more engaged with the movie all throughout, to where that would feel like a stab in the back. Like, how dare you make Sandy sell out?
It's like, yeah, but it certainly doesn't portray her character if you've been following the movie.
Well, yeah, she's just such a wet blanket. It's like, okay, at least now you're interested.
Yeah.
It does. I can totally see that reading, though, where... Okay, what you're telling little girls watching this movie is that if a guy doesn't like you and a guy keeps treating you like shit, well, maybe what you need is a makeover.
It's your fault.
Try harder. And I, like I said in Contrarians Corner, I disagree that Travolta sacrifices or changes as much as she does.
Oh, dude, no, it's such like a front.
Right.
Like, yeah, he just puts on this jacket and it's all different now.
And as soon as she comes back with the leather pants, he takes the jacket off.
He literally takes it off and throws it on the ground.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't need this anymore.
Okay, so let's get to the meat and potatoes of this discussion, because you said something while we were watching this that really troubled me to my core. The Sonny character.
Oh, I don't like him, dude. I hate him.
You do not care for Sonny.
Yeah, speaking of bad actors, I don't think that guy is... I mean, well, okay, so it could be...
Choose your words wisely here, partner.
It could be that he is just a subpar performer that's doing the best he can, or a good actor that's just being poorly directed by Mr. Kleiser or whatever his name was, right? I don't know. I haven't seen the behind the scenes to see how that went down.
I don't need to know that he's fucking hilarious and one of the highlights of the movie.
He is annoying. Talk about nails on a chalkboard. I mean, that's just, dude. I don't like the three of them together doing the Three Stooges routine. It's just annoying to begin with. But that guy in particular, the way he talks, the way he...
Let's go get a slice of pizza.
The facial expressions he makes, and I do resent him for hooking up with Marty.
Oh man, she's so hot. But I'm not kidding. He has my favorite line of the movie.
Well, I mean, he can have your favorite line of the movie. That doesn't mean that he's a good actor or that he's good in the rest of the movie.
I think he's really funny. Like, he's the comic relief for me.
They're all the comic relief.
Well, him more so than all the other ones.
He's just annoying.
He's the Fogler. He's Dan Fogler and Take Me Home Tonight.
No, don't even. Don't you dare.
Don't you disparage the name of Dan Fogler. No, yeah.
So
I mean,
okay,
no
so hang on. Let's rank the T-Birds. Right? To me, you have Travolta at the very top.
Mm-hmm.
Much, much lower, you have
Jeff
Conaway. Then, what was his name? Duty. Then the Putsy. And then way lower than that.
Wide chasm.
Yeah.
And then there's Sonny. Well, I respectfully disagree.
Okay.
I mean, Travolta's head and shoulders above everyone else in this movie.
Okay.
Except for the green shirt extra.
Mikey Travolta.
His cousin that he flew in from Tupelo. I don't know. Jeff Conaway, I remember thinking he was so cool when I was a little kid, and then watching this, and it's like, man, this and Taxi were clearly what defined him, and he was like really going for it, and that's admirable, but it's just like, it's not even that it doesn't age well, it's just, you have this fucking supernova of John Travolta that's just, everyone's going to look like shit in comparison, and especially when you're not really good to begin with, it's going to be even more glaring.
Yeah, and okay, so to be fair to the performances that most of them, like I said, I don't like, they're very theatrical, and that's obviously what they were going for. And you just said, some stuff doesn't age well, and I don't think it ages well. Stockard Channing is a fucking genius because she walks that line where, yeah, she's theatrical, but she still plays it down compared to everybody else. So you watch in a contemporary setting, and she still mostly comes across like a normal person, or at least a believable person. Whereas going back to Sonny, or even Kaneki, like Jeff Conaway, he's just so over the top, and Same problem. He has the same problem that Sandy does, where he is like a grown man trying to act like a teenager and just looking ridiculous.
And he comes off looking like a grown man trying to act like a teenager.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is just annoying as fuck.
Not nearly as bad
Travolta-
as Leo the Scorpion.
Okay, that guy is just. What's the line from Forgetting Sarah Marshall when what's his name? What's the name? The main actor in
Jason Segel?
Yeah, when Jason Segel is talking to Mila Kunis and she's talking about her ex, and it's like, oh, he's just a boy.
Oh,
and
no. That guy is a man.
That guy's a man. Yeah, Lou Scorpion. That guy's a man. He's an ex-con.
I'll kill you. Yeah, he not even like.
He's not even trying.
I've watched pro wrestling my entire life, and I can't even stretch my imagination that far.
Yeah, no, that guy is. Clearly, they were casting for menace. They were not casting for youthful believability.
He's got like that Lawrence Fishburne acne scar situation going on, and it's just like, bruh.
You've seen some life.
He's got his AARP card next to his SAG card. Okay, so with that all being said, where are we? This is our sixth Travolta.
This is our 6th.
Okay. I'd probably put it number dos.
So you put it after Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
You like this better than Hairspray.
I think I do. Yeah. I might have a Hairspray
Wow.
in it, like 2A, 2B. But
That's now.
don't
have to make a choice.
don't fuck with my head, because now
Your
I'll
house is
come
on
back to it.
Your house is on fire. You can only save one copy of a Travolta movie.
I'll save my Blu-ray of Pulp Fiction.
It's between Hairspray and
Grease?
Grease, and you'll never be able to buy any others ever again.
Grease.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm sorry. I just have to.
Hairspray fixed racism.
This is true. Whereas Grease did not have, besides Cha-Cha Dingagorio, any person of color in it.
Not a single black person, not a single Hispanic.
And even she's probably just
Questionable.
Italian.
Yeah. That reminds me, the host of the TV show, what's his name?
Vince Fontaine.
Yeah, in the TV live version, it was played by AC Slater.
Oh, Mario Lopez?
Yep.
Nice.
Which,
That's really fitting.
yeah, it fits really well. Huge improvement, and he has even more of that pedophile vibe.
Jesus.
Where he's just going after the high school girls. I'm not saying Mario Lopez does. I'm saying the character, and
okay.
he really leans into it. It's a lot creepier in that full version.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's not layered on too thick in this.
Oh no. They drew the line there.
But I did appreciate it picking Marty because, again, I think if there's one takeaway from this is that the Contrarians loved the actress that played Marty in Grease.
Yes.
Yeah, haven't seen the sequel. Haven't seen the live version that you were referencing there.
It's on Netflix.
Oh, really?
Okay, you love this movie so fucking much. I think you owe it
Calm
to
down.
yourself. You owe it to yourself to watch it. Performed live. Like I said, Julianne Hughes really good. The guy that plays Danny. I mean, he's all right. He's no Travolta, but I mean, who would be Travolta?
Yeah, I think we've got some other greats coming up, but this is what defined and what is still parodied about Travolta almost half of a century later.
So hang on, what else have we done? Because I need to figure out where I put Grease.
Pulp Fiction, Grease, Hairspray, Look Who's Talking To, Phenomenon, and Battlefield Earth.
Jesus.
Covered some ground.
Yeah, but I was going to say the competition is not fierce once you get past Pulp Fiction and Hairspray.
No, it's not.
So really,
To be fair, though, I can tell you this: Phenomenon deserves more credit than Look Who's Talking To and Battlefield Earth.
Yeah. But okay, so now it just comes down to which one makes me cringe more, Phenomenon or Grease. Actually, no. What's more memorable?
Grease.
Grease has the songs, but Phenomenon has that
Robert Duvall's butt.
Robert Duvall's butt and Robert Duvall's 2 Oscar scenes.
Yeah.
And Travolta breaking the mirror.
Yeah.
It's a goddamn mistake.
It was a goddamn mistake.
For the time being, since you can't give me like an answer, like a serious answer. Actually, you did give me.
I did give you an answer.
Well, I don't
To
know,
me,
to you,
Grease is higher up in my being.
hits you harder.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's, again, I can acknowledge all of its faults and still really enjoy it.
I guess I'll say that Grease is better than Phenomenon,
Yes.
but I don't like it.
I'll say it, but damn it, I don't like it.
I'm not happy about this.
Okay. So that was fun. That really was a long time coming. I think that was part of the thing. You and I always kind of wanted to do that movie, but it was finding the right time because
Right.
it's not like
The
a
right
high
context,
rating.
yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. I'm probably literally gonna watch the Born to Hand Jive segment again before I go to bed tonight.
And dance to it.
One day. I told Julio and anyone that knows me, most likely if you're listening to this, you do know me. Except for if you're that person in New York that downloaded like 22 of our episodes last week, fucking A, God bless. Thank you.
I hope it's the same person that listens to us through Alexa. Because Alexa showed up as like a source of downloads for our show.
Alexa, play shit podcast.
Alexa, what are Alex and Julio up to?
Alex and Julio are currently in the summer of Travolta. But I told Julio, and if anyone knows me, that's a big old fat ass. But if I ever lose my weight and get to a svelte physique, I will find an excuse to wear the suit that Travolta wears to the dance off.
Then
Or
I'll wear cha-chas.
I was going to say you could wear the Travolta suit, and I'll be Cha-Cha Dingagorio.
Well, we're going like, according to our race.
You do have that sweet olive tone to your skin that she does as well. So, moving along here to plugs. As always, just get the normals out of the way. The festive years for providing us our opening and closing tracks. Opening, Last Stand, closing, Summer of '99.
Our friend Hans Rodgieser from
Thank you.
Nación Combi, the Nación Combi podcast, which is a podcast in Spanish about Peruvian stuff. You don't have to be Peruvian to listen to it, but you probably should be a
But it
Spanish
doesn't
speaker. And also, he did our logo. And he can do your logo. You can just contact him at mildemonios@hotmail.com. That's MILDEMONIOS. And he's also on Twitter at mildemonios. And I'll have his contact information on the webpage, as usual.
All right.
So now, do you have an actual plug, Alex?
I do. I forgot about it, but I finally finished Breaking Bad, and I said I would mention that on the podcast when I finally finished it.
So that people know that now you're not going to be spoiled.
Yeah, I know we talked about it on our last recording for Look Who's Talking Too. I know I hadn't finished it yet, but yeah,
you'd finished the opening of the last
where Hank died.
right.
Yeah,
What's the name of the director of
Rian Johnson.
Yeah,
I did have that.
Rian Johnson episode. That's
I
right.
had Gus's death and Hank's death spoiled for me, which was kind of annoying. But again, it's been like 10 years since the show, so
It's
I
your
can't-
fault.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that shows everything everyone said it was. I honestly don't know why. It started when I was in college and I didn't have cable, and it was really just I hadn't had cable up until this past year. The only reason I have it now is because my dad stays here sometimes and he wants to watch TV, and he was mad because I didn't have cable. So I just never kind of got around to watching it, but God bless Netflix for having it all on there. I can't imagine having watched that in real time because some of the cliffhangers are so fucking intense.
You can imagine it. That
Oh,
last
man.
season, it was a struggle to find the balance between just talking about the show because you were so excited, but also trying not to speculate too much because I didn't want to come up with 1,000 different theories to the point where when we finally got to the end, I would be disappointed because I already run through every possible outcome.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted to be surprised.
It ended pretty much at the perfect time. If it had gone, if it had gone another season longer, it would have felt like they were starting to stretch things out.
Right.
And kind of does like Ozark shows that like the scariest people are still crazy white people. Like those are still the scariest people out there, unfortunately. Yeah, it's really good. The way the Skylar character is written, she really got on my nerves after a while. I don't know. I don't know how people feel of like the character.
Oh, she's pretty divisive. I never turned on her, not to the extent that I guess half the internet did, and I felt that the end of her character arc, by the time you get to the end of the show, it's pretty. I think they did well by her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she has.
She lets Hank see the baby one more time. I thought that was a nice touch.
Walt. Hank,
I know.
Hank
Hank
is
didn't
gone.
see the baby.
No, Hank is done.
Yeah, Walt. Excuse me.
But yeah, no, she stands up to him, but then she has that final conversation with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody gets to shine. Even Walt Jr. He has that awesome moment where he pulls a knife.
He like takes his back and gets him in the rear naked choke, and then Walt, what the fuck?
Yeah.
The one that fucked me the most and got me real bummed was when Mike died. That was the worst. But it was a death fitting of Mike, where Walt was like, I didn't want to just shut the fuck up and let me die in peace. I thought that was great. And then the finale is super intense, so I thought it was really brilliant how they hit you with that last big laugh of when he convinces his former business partners that, like, if they don't do the right thing with their money, the hitman, and it's Badger and that other guy. Yeah. Yep. That's fucking great.
Skinny Pete,
yeah. And I felt it was good. Jesse makes it out in the end, but God, by the end, it was like almost overkill with all the shit he had to go through.
Right, it's like, what is left of him?
All that's left is Brock, because they even kill Andrea right in front of him. It's just like, fuck. Jesse Plemons, man, was terrifying. But that's cool, too, that Jesse gets to get his retribution on him. No, it's... I think the one thing in the last season that I thought was the best was Robert Forster.
I was about to say Robert Forster
is the guy like that you hear about for like 4 or 5 seasons worth, or excuse me, 3 or 4 seasons. And Bob Odenkirk's good. I guess the next question is, do I want to touch Better Call Saul? Is it any good?
I wouldn't watch it as an extension of Breaking Bad, or maybe you should. I don't know.
I know Mike's in it, right?
Yeah. It's it's a prequel, obviously. I have issues. It bothers me every time it does Breaking Bad tie-ins. I like it a lot better just as a story of this character by itself. Well, him and Mike, right? Because Mike is very much a part of that show. But from time to time, they'll throw in like little winks about, but remember this character from Breaking Bad, or remember this thing that happened in Breaking Bad. We're going to reference it, or we're going to show you how this started. And it's like, I don't need that. Because they've created a cast of characters, brand new characters that are very interesting. So I'm happy with those. I don't need like all the extra stuff. And unfortunately, the longer the show's gone, the more it's become embedded into the other Breaking Bad stuff, which makes sense because obviously they're building towards a point where it's all going to come together. And then I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. But it's a good show. It's really good. It's not Breaking Bad good, but it's good. It's entertaining. Yeah. And it definitely gets better. I think that Breaking Bad is good from the beginning. Better Call Saul has a few shaky episodes, and then it gets really good.
Yeah, I mean, point of this podcast aside, of us, arguing against the consensus, yeah, Breaking Bad's everything everyone said it was. I'm glad I watched through it, and yeah, it's Walt's kind of an asshole.
Did you feel bad when it was over? Like when his story was over? Like, no, you were like, serves you right.
Not that. It's just like that's the scenario he created, and that's what he wanted.
Right.
I did love though that he had that like moment of clarity where he finally, because the entire show he's just been telling Skylar it's all for family. He's just like, it's for me.
Yeah. Felt good.
Felt good. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And the ricin, I had to throw that in earlier just to let you know I finished it. Wink, wink. But how that finally pays off.
Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect too. Yeah, it's excellent. I could easily see myself just thumbing back through from time to time, watching episodes again and stuff like that. So that would be my plug for this week. Watch the trailer for The Last of Us 2. Looks fucking amazing.
Oh, I thought you were shaking your head. I was like, oh, disappointing.
Oh, no, God. I was just like watching it like, fuck. And Hideo Kojima has a new game that's Strangled Death. I don't know. It looks fucking insane, and it's Norman Reedus and Lea Seydoux. Like,
really? Like doing voices, or do they look like...
No, it's like maps of their body.
Nice.
Yeah, so it looks quite terrifying. Like, the end of the trailer is Lea Seydoux eating a bug. And I was like, well, do you know who Hideo Kojima is?
No.
Do you know what Metal Gear Solid is?
Yes.
He's the creator of Metal Gear Solid, and he had a falling out with the previous company that did that, so it's his first game post Metal Gear Solid world. So he was originally making Silent Hills with Norman Reedus, and then for whatever reason, still debated to this day, the plug got pulled on that project for some reason, so I guess him and
They listened to our Silent Hill episode, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
no.
No.
Let's go with something else.
I think that's why we did it, because it was around that time that was all going down. I don't know. I'd have to revisit that. But Norman Reedus is Walking Dead, right?
Yes.
And he also is
Boondock Saints, yes.
Oh.
Can't win them all.
I was about to say, he's 2 strikes. But throw it at us, Julio. What do you got for your plugs this week?
Well, 2 things. One is, like I mentioned, and you listened on our break, the IMDb Journey podcast, they gave us that promo. And in exchange, they should be playing our own promo, which we finally recorded.
We did.
On one of their episodes. And they're a cool show. As it said, like they basically, I think it is a genius idea.
Mm-hmm.
You just go down the, well, they're not going in order, but they're tackling the IMDb 250 best list, and every episode they just pick a random number that they see.
You were telling me about that.
Yeah, and then they just watch it and then they talk about it. And then they move on to the next one, but they're just going, back and forth, much like our Summer of Travolta. They're not going chronologically or in order. They're just, going at random. And so far, most of the episodes they've done are movies that I've seen. They did one on Paths of Glory, the Kubrick movie, which I hadn't seen that movie. And I was like, you know what? This is the perfect excuse to do it. And I watched Paths of Glory because it's only 90 minutes. And it turned out to be pretty good. But so I don't know. If it's not like I'm gonna watch every movie they do a podcast on. Sometimes with some, I'm just happy to listen and let them let them tell me, what it's like. Because I'm not interested in certain ones, but it is kind of cool to just be able to fill that gap because usually their movies are worth watching.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And the guy, one of the hosts, Daniel, he sent me a link to a video that he'd done for his top 26 movies of 2017, and so I watched the video. And I was like, at first I'm getting nervous because I don't recognize any of these movies. But then once it starts getting higher, it turns out I watched 19 out of the 26. I was like, that's not bad. Mm-hmm. But then I told him, I was like, Alex doesn't go to the movies as often. So I'll be surprised if he's watched 5 or more than 5. Mm-hmm. So I have the list here. I'm going to go really quickly through it. And you tell me if you've seen it.
That's what you're writing down.
Yeah. So The Salesman.
Nope.
Land of Mine.
Nope.
The Red Turtle.
Nope.
Thor Ragnarok.
No.
What's that indignant?
I'm done. After the second Avengers movie, I'm out, man.
Oh my god. We still need to work on this.
Civil War and all of the movement.
Yeah. Betting on Zero.
No.
Tickling Giants.
Nope.
So far, that was my minus Thor. I was like, oh fuck, this is like. Okay, now we're getting into just movies that everybody knows. T2 Trainspotting.
No, I thought that makes me interested in it because I heard not good things about it.
I'm mixed on it. Colossal.
No, but I want to see it.
The Lego Batman movie.
No, was that you that didn't?
I liked it.
Okay,
and I hate the Lego movies.
I knew you didn't like one of those. Yeah.
It. You've seen it because you were talking shit about it.
It is boring.
Baby Driver.
No, because I've heard that movie sounded polarizing as fuck, man.
Did you hear me and Reed arguing about it?
Yeah.
You should watch it. I'll let you borrow it. The Disaster Artist.
Yep.
That's the one I think you've seen that I haven't. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Eddie's favorite movie I have yet to see.
Get Out.
No, another one I apparently need to see.
Good Time.
Yes.
As any listener of this podcast
knows,
Good Time has gotten mentioned more than Travolta.
Yes. Alex's pick of the decade.
The Big Sick.
Yep. Really enjoyed that.
All right, we're up to 4. You just need to get one more.
Mm-hmm.
Coco.
No.
Icarus.
No.
Logan.
Was that all last year?
Yeah.
That's right. Logan had a February release because they didn't. It was R, so yeah. Yes, so I did see Logan.
All right, so we're at 5.
Mm-hmm.
Wind River.
No.
Wonder Woman.
No.
Lady Bird.
No.
Phantom Thread.
No.
War for Planet of the Apes.
That was that high on the list?
Yeah.
No.
Dunkirk.
Of course.
All right, 6.
Yes.
You've proven me wrong. And then Your Name.
Which one was Your Name?
It's a animation, Japanese animation. I haven't seen it. I own it because Kelly got it for Christmas. Still haven't seen it. It's supposed to be really good.
No.
All right, 6 out of 26, Alex. That's
Not
obviously
bad.
not as good as mine, but
Yeah.
at least better than I expected.
Yeah.
It's a lot cooler if you're watching the video and you actually see clips from the movie.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's that. Listen to the IMDb Journey podcast. They're cool. And then our friends from Beyond the Box Set issued a sort of challenge. They did an episode on The Boy Next Door, that terrible Jennifer Lopez movie. And they were talking about our podcast, and one of them was like, well, have they done this movie? And the other co-host said, no, but they should, because it's really low. I checked the Rotten Tomatoes. It's like in the teens, I think. And it is. I've seen it. I screened it with our friend Eddie, actually, and it's ridiculously bad.
So it's recent?
A couple years ago, I think. Jennifer Lopez, her neighbor, his grandson moves in, and her grandson he's not quite a minor. I think he's like 18, but he's flunked school a couple years, so he's still going to school. But she doesn't know this when she hooks up with him. And then she's a teacher. And then the next day or next week, she goes to work, and there's a new student, and it's this guy.
Oh.
And he's obsessed with her. And she's just like, no, this was a mistake. And hijinks ensue.
It's like a comedy?
It's a thriller.
Oh, a thriller. Okay.
It's one of those where Jennifer Lopez fights evil men.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. She's had a few of those. There's that movie Enough, where she...
The Cell.
Wow.
Anaconda.
She fights evil snakes.
She does.
She fights evil, period.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, we'll put it on the docket.
We'll have to find a good movie to sandwich in between that and Buffy.
Yeah. A non-Travolta movie.
I think as much as we've been sucking off Travolta for some of these, towards the end of it, I'm just going to be like, I'm good for a while. Okay, but that's going to wrap it up here at Grease. Next is Face Off.
Face Off.
Hell yes. So bringing Nicolas Cage to the podcast, baby.
It's just too much.
It is. We're going to overload. But that's going to do it for this bonus episode of The Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. And we will catch you next time as the summer of Travolta rolls on.
Get in the car, I'll grab the keys. Let's go make this summer one that's full of memories. You won't regret it. I know a place outside of town. I think you'll really love it. At night when no one is around, we'll drive into the sunset. Promise me you won't forget that summer of 1999.
He's post-stroke curly. I'm not proud of that one. And then, of course, he'll come out with his Pulp Fiction 2 next year.
He'll be I don't even know what he's doing lately. I swear, the last couple Travolta movies I've seen.
Scientology stuff.
I watched this. He's in a movie with Robert De Niro, like a recent one.
Okay.
Terrible movie. But it's just basically a showdown between De Niro and Travolta in the woods. That sounds amazing, doesn't it? Not good. And then he has that movie from a few years ago, something about Paris. You know what I'm talking about? It's him and the guy from Match Point.
He was in Taking a Pelham 1-2-3 with Denzel.
Oh, yeah, that feels like a decent release. Though. I didn't watch it, but at least that seemed like a movie.
Yeah.
That was even longer ago, dude.
Yeah, I was still working at the theater. That is.
Hey guys, do you have a screenplay you need feedback on? Well, you are in luck. I, Julio, the half of the Contrarians that speaks with an accent, I'm doing official screenplay coverage now, and if you're a listener of the show, you'll get a discount. Just email wearethecontrarians@gmail.com and tell us which is your favorite episode of the podcast and why. Turnaround is about 2 weeks, and you'll get detailed notes that are even more thorough than what we do in the show, although it'll also be less funny. For more information, email wearethecontrarians@gmail.com or visit our website, wearethecontrarians.com, and click on the Julio Reads Your Scripts link.
Your voice is beautiful.